Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Boy Charanaravind Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki, Skandi Biti, Founder Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrind ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Nitai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksurimilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Gita Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Shram Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vansakalpa Taruyasya Kripa Sindhu Jayavasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam bhagavatam nama. Puranam Brahma Samhitam. Uttama Shloka Charitam. Shekara Bhagavan Rishi. Nishreyasaya lokasya. Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Granthara, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Siva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Surabhyay Namaha. Om Surabhyay Namaha. Om Surabhyay Namaha. Om Surabhyay Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangom langayate girim. Yatkripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yatkripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to our morning Bhagavatam class, especially those who are coming from long distance, coming from Pune, I guess, area, and others who are coming from different places. Yeah, we are completing actually our reading from the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam today. We've been choosing one verse from each of the 5 chapters as spoken by Narada Muni on the subject matter of Varnashrama Dharma. These verses were not my particular choice, but I approve all of them, covering very interesting subject matters, of course. So today we are reading from the 15th, which is the last chapter of the 7th canto. So Canto 7, Chapter 15, text 1-4, yes. 14, yeah. It's on the board for those who don't have another board. An electric board, digital board. So this chapter is entitled, quite appropriately, Instructions for Civilized Human Beings. Text 14. Yas.
Yas.
Tu.
Tu.
Ichaya.
Ichaya.
Kritaha.
Kritaha.
Kumbhir.
Kumbhir.
Abhaso.
Abhaso.
Hi. Asramat.
Ashramat.
Prithak.
Prithak.
Swa.
Swa.
Bhava.
Bhava.
Vihito.
Vihito.
Dharmaha.
Dharmaha.
Kasya.
Kasya.
Nistaha.
Nishta.
Prashantaye.
Prashantaye.
Yastvichaya pita pumbhir.
Yasvichaya Prita Kumbhir.
Abhaso yashramat prithak.
Abhaso Yashramat Prithak.
Svabhava vihito dharmaha.
Swabhava Vihito Dharmaha.
Tasya nista prashantaye.
Kasya Nishta Prashantaye.
Yastvichaya pita pumbhir.
Yasvichaya Prita Kumbhir.
Abhaso yashramat prithak.
Abhaso Yashramat Prithak.
Svabhava vihito dharmaha.
Swabhava Vihito Dharmaha.
Tasya nista prashantaye.
Kasya Nishta Prashantaye.
Yastvichaya pita pumbhir.
Yasvichaya Prita Kumbhir.
Abhaso yashramat prithak.
Abhaso Yashramat Prithak.
Svabhava vihito dharmaha.
Swabhava Vihito Dharmaha.
Tasya nista prashantaye.
Kasya Nishta Prashantaye.
यस्त्विच्छया कृतः कुम्भेर
Yasvichaya Prita Kumbhir.
आभासो हि आश्रमात् पृथक्
Abhaso Yashramat Prithak.
स्वभाव विहितो धर्मा
Swabhava Vihito Dharmaha.
कस्य नेष्ट प्रशान्तये
Kasya Nishta Prashantaye.
यस्त्वैच्छया कृता पुंभीर
Yasvichaya Prita Kumbhir.
आभासो हि आश्रमात् पृथक्
Abhaso Yashramat Prithak.
स्वभाव विहितो धर्मः
Swabhava Vihito Dharmaha.
कस्य नेष्ट प्रशान्तये
Kasya Nishta Prashantaye.
यस्विच्छया कृतः कुम्भीर
Yasvichaya Prita Kumbhir.
आभासो ह्याश्रमात् पृथक्
Abhaso Yashramat Prithak.
स्वभाव विहितो धर्मः
Swabhava Vihito Dharmaha.
कस्य नेष्टः प्रशान्तये
Kasya Nishta Prashantaye.
Mataji's.
यस्तिच्छया कृतः कुम्भिः
Yasvichaya Prita Kumbhir.
आभासो ह्यश्रमात् पृथक्
Abhaso Yashramat Prithak.
स्वभावविहितो धर्मः
Swabhava Vihito Dharmaha.
कस्य नेष्टः प्रशान्तये
Kasya Nishta Prashantaye.
Yaha.
Yaha.
That which.
That which.
To. Indeed.
Indeed.
Ishaya.
Ishaya.
Whimsically.
Whimsically.
Kritaha.
Kritaha.
Conducted.
Conducted.
Pumbhihi.
Kumbhi.
By persons.
By persons.
Abhasha.
Abhasa.
Dim reflection.
Dim reflection.
He.
He.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Asramat.
Ashramat.
From one's own order of life.
From one's own order of life.
Prithak.
Prithak.
Different.
Different.
Svabhava.
Swabhava.
According to one's own nature.
According to one's own nature.
Vihitaha.
Vihitaha.
Regulated.
Regulated.
Dharmaha.
Dharmaha.
Religious principle.
Religious principles.
Kasya.
Kasya.
In what respect?
In what respect?
Na.
Nam.
Not.
Not.
Istaha.
Isha.
Capable.
Capable.
Prashantaye.
Prashantaye.
For relieving
For relieving
all kinds of distress.
all kinds of distress.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
A pretentious religious system manufactured by one who willfully neglects the prescribed duties of his order of life is called abhasa. a dim reflection, or false similarity. But if one performs the prescribed duties for his particular asrama or varna, why are they not sufficient to mitigate all material distresses? Kindly repeat after me. A pretentious religious system
A pretentious religious system
by one who willfully neglects
by one who neglects
but the prescribed duties
the prescribed duties
of his order of life
of his order of life
is called abhasa,
is called abhasa,
a dim reflection
a dim reflection
or false similarity.
or false similarity.
But if one performs
But if one performs
the prescribed duties
the prescribed duties
for his particular asrama
for his particular ashrama
or varna,
or varna,
why are they not sufficient
why are they not sufficient
to mitigate all material distresses?
to mitigate all material distresses?
Purport. It is indicated here that everyone should strictly follow the principles of varna and asrama as given in the Shastra. In the Vishnu Purana 3.8.9 it is said, Varnasrama saravata purushena para puman Vishnur arajate pantha nanyat tat tosha karanam. One should focus upon the destination for progress, which is to become Krishna conscious. This is the aim and end of all varnas and ashramas. However, if Vishnu is not worshipped, the followers of the Varnasrama institution manufacture some concocted god. Thus, it has now become fashionable for any rascal or fool to be elected god. And there are many missionaries who have concocted their own gods, giving up their relationship with the real God. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said that one who worships the demigods has lost his intelligence. Nonetheless, we find that even an illiterate person who has lost all intelligence is elected God, and although he has a temple, it has meat-eating sannyasis, and many polluted activities go on there. This type of religious system, which misguides its poor followers, is strictly forbidden. Such pretentious religions should be stopped altogether. The original system is that a Brahmana should actually become a Brahmana. He should not only take birth in a Brahmana family, but must also be qualified. Also, even if one is not born in a Brahmana family, but has Brahminical qualifications, he must be considered a Brahmana. By strictly following this system, one can be happy without extra endeavor. Svabhava vihito dharma kasya nesta prashantaye. The real aim of life is to mitigate distress, and one can do this very easily by following the principles of Shastra. Translation again. A pretentious religious system manufactured by one who willfully neglects the prescribed duties of his order of life is called abhasa, a dim reflection or false similarity. But if one performs the prescribed duties of his particular ashram or varna, why are they not sufficient to mitigate all material distresses? So in one or two verses before this one, Narada Muni gives a list of different types of false practices of dharma. We hear from Shastra how dharma is not something that can be invented or concocted. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The principles of dharma are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. They contain and they explain the real laws of nature. And therefore, unless one is fortunate to be connected with a bona fide parampara system, one will not actually get the proper understanding of dharma. In the name of dharma, so many activities. Presently, Srila Prabhupada is making very specific reference for those who can read in between the lines. One of many examples of actually cheating, in the name of religion, in the name of dharma. Unfortunately, because this is Kali Yuga, many people are cheating. Prabhupada would often say how modern day society is a society of the cheaters and the cheated. Yeah. Many people are willing to be cheated, and there are many people waiting to cheat them. Also, big business. So the principles of dharma are very clear and can only be understood, can only be put into practice when one is fortunate to actually come in contact with someone who is bona fide and who has received that knowledge from also a bona fide source. And therefore we have what is called, this point is actually very nice, very important as well. Any kind of activity, even in the name of dharma, which is not connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, then that is falling in the category of what is called asuric varnashrama, or actually adharma. There is daiva varnashrama. Daiva in the context of our Vaishnavacharyas, daiva varnashrama means actually those divine activities, those spiritual activities which connect us, which help us to know about Krishna, because it is very clearly established in especially Bhagavad Gita, Srimad bhagavatam, that bhakti is actually the topmost, we have a book on this, topmost yoga system. And unless one actually comes to the practice of bhakti for Vaishnavas means opening the door to Krishna. We cannot speak of bhakti if Krishna is not there. It's not bhakti, isn't it? Bhakti means Krishna, because bhakti means awakening one's dormant one's dormant relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like I was hearing one lecture from Prabhupada, I think this morning, and Prabhupada was mentioning one particular poet, very famous poet. Anyone here from Bengal? Anyway, there are a number of poets from Bengal. We're not in Bengal. But in any event, I won't mention the name of the poet. Prabhupada does mention how he's speaking about in his particular song. He's addressing the Lord as to me. To me, for those who don't know Bengali, means you. Actually, there's apni and to me. When one is more, apni normally is more like for higher elevated personality. So Prabhupada points out that actually this person, who is very famous, still famous today, glorifies the Lord and speaks about him as to me, but he doesn't know who is that to me. You know, so to me means, yeah, a person, and unless one knows that original personality of Godhead, this is very, very unique actually in our Vaishnava Sampradaya. This is in many ways a great contribution of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared, as we know, 500 years ago, and whose celebration is coming up in a few days, Gaur Purnima. And he especially, through the help and assistance of the Goswamis of Vrindavan and so many such exalted personalities, which is all summarized in a very important book, actually, which is considered as postgraduate. You know, Bhagavatam is considered as graduate study of Vedic knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and what postgraduate study is actually the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in the Adilila, Chaitanya Charitamrita is divided into Adilila, Madhyalila, Antya-lila, the beginning and pastimes of the Lord, up until he takes sannyas at the age of 24. And in the first and second chapter, the author, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, a very highly recommended book, actually there's 17 volumes, establishes, by quoting so many references from Shastra, how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, number one, which for many people is still maybe unknown or vague, but this is like very, very central to the followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to the Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas especially underline the importance of understanding, of coming to that understanding. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Vadanti Tattvavidam Tattvam Yajganamadvayam Brahmiti Paramatmiti Bhagavan Niti Sabjate. So many different verses are there actually in the Shastra, and our acharyas have especially focused, the whole Bhagavatam actually focuses on this point. So although we speak about Varnashrama Dharma, of course, is also less understood, is even considered a problematic term or word. Just like not so long ago, the word Vaishnava, it's amazing actually, just maybe 150 years ago, the word Vaishnava was considered like a bad word. Because in the name of Vaishnavism, so many people were abusing and misusing actually their position. Although wearing tilak, having bead bag, but at the same time smoking bidis and doing so many nonsense activities, which is against Shastra. Because Bhagavatam establishes clearly how in the human form of life this is discussed in the 11th chapter, chapter 11, entitled The Perfect Society for Social Divisions, where Narada Muni speaks about the 30 qualities of a human being. To actually be considered human being. This chapter is speaking about civilized human beings. There are human beings and then there are civilized human beings. Not everyone who has a material body or human body is, according to Shastra, is accepted or considered as civilized. Civilized, in terms of Vedic understanding, is where one is actually knowing what is the goal and the purpose of life. Civilized means actually one who really understands who is Godhead and what is the means by which we can again regain our original constitutional position. So here Narada Muni is pointing out different types of false dharmas or mixed dharmas or contaminated forms of dharma. And all of these, whatever is not pure and original, naturally will not be able to mitigate the miseries that one experiences actually in the material world. One who actually doesn't know is very important to understand. One who doesn't know or one who does not take up the process of bhakti cannot actually be happy and cannot sever his ties with the modes of material nature. Bhukti mukti siddhi kami sakale ashanta. Krishna bhakta niskama athaiva shanta. To actually experience shanti, peace, happiness, and to become relieved or disconnected with the modes of material nature, one must come to that point or that position of bhakti, of accepting bhakti, of understanding. Because bhakti is something that is outside of this material world. Everything else, especially connected with simply karma or jnana. Karma is spoken about in the Bhagavad Gita. Jnana, there's Kamala Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Asanga Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and then there is Bhakti Yoga. Most people, every year actually in Calcutta, since the very beginning, Srila Prabhupada wanted that the devotees celebrate in a grand manner Rath Yatra. Anyone been to Calcutta Rath Yatra? My God, 50% of your life is wasted. It's a grand festival that goes for 9 days actually. They take out Jagannath Baladev Subhadra because they have two main altars, Sri Radha Govinda with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and on the left side, and then Lord Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. And then, because in Bengal they're very expert in making pandals. So like for 9 days they have big pandal. They make like big temple, like Gundicha actually, Gundicha temple. And you really think, that it's like that it is a temple because they're so expert. So when I was in Calcutta in those days, anyways, quite some time back, we would have different like there was a book distribution booth and whatnot, and we had one quiz contest, and I'd made up the different questions, and one of the questions was in the Bhagavad Gita. Which yoga is the best yoga? Which yoga does Krishna emphasize the most? And when we, so many people, different age category, but everyone of all age category, maybe 80% of the response was that Karma Yoga is the topmost yoga. We have to do our activities. So Karma Yoga actually is not the topmost. The topmost is Bhakti, Bhakti Yoga. Within Bhakti Yoga there is karma. There is activities, but activities that are dovetailed for the pleasure and satisfaction of Krishna. So whatever is not actually pure bhakti, whether it is karma, whether it is jnana, bhukti, mukti, siddhi, whether it is people who are yogis for the purpose of getting siddhis, it is all bhukti, mukti, siddhi. They're all connected with some kind of desire, either gross or subtle. Bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, sakali ashanta. Because they have this kama, this material desire, they cannot be happy. And they cannot, again, be disconnected with the modes of material nature. Bhakti is only, pure bhakti, is that process, those activities, and that bhakti we can find also within, is meant to be found within the system of varna and ashrama. That's also an important point, because very often many of our own devotees, we were discussing, I think, in the last few days, they conclude that, in varnashrama, in the system of varna and ashrama, we cannot, we'll be involved with so many seemingly complicated things, and we'll not be able to properly practice our bhakti. What is being conveyed here actually in the purport by Srila Prabhupada is that the system, the actual system, the pure system, the original system as given by Krishna, which is only available if we receive it in proper Guru Parampara, is that system, we say par excellence, the best system that can actually help us to come to that position of more easily becoming detached from all the allurements of this material world. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahaitukam. Causeless knowledge, Jnanam, and Vairagya, causeless detachment, comes when one takes up the process of bhakti, devotional service. So sometimes Prabhupada would say, people, they criticize us sometimes, or they're not happy to hear that why only Krishna? Why only Krishna? Just like in the purport Prabhupada is mentioning, referring to the Bhagavad Gita, there are different, India especially, here we are in India, demigod worship is very prominent. But actually demigod worship will not take us out of the material world, because the demigods are in Swargaloka. Swargaloka is still in the material world. Very nice place to visit, but you're still in the material world, isn't it? Because if one goes to Swargaloka, you have to come back here anyways. It's like if you go to America, most of the time you have to come back here. For most people, many people, America is like Swargaloka. Actually, Bali is a Swargaloka, for those who may not know. I've been into for Bali. Going to Swargaloka. But we should not be misled by so many philosophies, some of which are being explained here. There is, the Sanatana Dharma is based on this science of bhakti, of devotion. And all of us can easily understand devotion has to do with relationship, isn't it? Everyone in the material world is seeking for relationship. People sometimes will say, I'm in a relationship now. But unless we find the ultimate relationship is that relationship which will take us out of the material world. Most relationships in the material world end up in disaster. And even the most, some people, some will say, Maharaj, that's not, some people actually, for the whole life, they love each other, But then life comes to an end, right? So it's not, even the most ideal relationship that one can have in the material world is temporary. Isn't it? Because the material body is temporary. So intelligent person will seek for what is not temporary. Therefore, Shastra and the Acharyas, they urge us to seek out what is Sat. Sat means what is eternal. By nature, by definition, Krishna, he is Sat Chit Ananda. Only what is Sat Chit Ananda and Vigraha, Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. We are also, because we are created by Krishna, we are the part and parcel. Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We are the eternal part and parcel of Krishna. So we also have the same features of Satchitananda, but we have forgotten. So actually the system of Varna and Ashrama, we should know, is that ideal, perfect system. These chapters very boldly, the title of the chapter, Perfect Society, Perfect Ideal Family Life, So perfection, actually in the material world, is not possible unless one takes to the process of bhakti. Because bhakti is something that is perfect. Because bhakti belongs to the spiritual world. So in the spiritual world, everything is perfect. Krishna is eternally residing in the spiritual world. Through different incarnations, he appears in the material world to remind us that, hey, that's where you belong. And this is the means and the process by which we can revive our original consciousness. So although the system of Varna and Ashrama, which has been, unfortunately, for so many centuries, here in India especially, abused and in so many ways changed or corrupted, but that remains the system, that remains the original and perfect system that Krishna has given to humanity to actually more easily, more quickly help us revive our dormant spiritual consciousness, isn't it? Because most of us in the material world, due to the heavy influence of the modes of material nature, we cannot immediately so quickly revive our original consciousness. We cannot so easily become disconnected with the modes of material nature. The process by which, it's in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, Srimvatam Swagata Krishna, Punya Sravana Kirtana, Ridyanta Stoya Badrani Vidunuti Sarit Satam. It begins by hearing. It begins by hearing, especially the words from Srimad Bhagavatam and such like literatures. And then slowly, gradually, by hearing, by the hearing process, by associating, we become purified. And as the consciousness becomes purified, we become elevated. We become situated in goodness, mode of goodness. And when we become firmly established in the mode of goodness, evam prasanamanaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Only when one is situated in the mode of goodness can one actually begin to nicely, properly, effectively take up the practice of bhakti, devotional service. And it is only when we take up the process of bhakti that Krishna, okay, somebody is, engaged in bhakti. That's my, that belongs to the spiritual world. So Krishna, he notices. And then Krishna begins to interact and help us actually. Bhagavat tattva vijnanam. There is jnanam vijnanam. Krishna helps us to understand things that are beyond ordinary material knowledge. Yeah. So in this way, actually the system of Varna and Ashrama that Narada Muni has been discussing in these in these 5 chapters. And again, I highly recommend. How many have the whole set of Srimad Bhagavatam? Kindly raise your hands. 30% approximately. So, yeah. Actually, everyone should have the Srimad Bhagavatam. is not different than like having deities in your home. So if you have the set of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's like having deities at home. And of course, one needs to open the pages of the Bhagavatam. You know, in the early days, we would distribute to life members Bhagavatam set, and then maybe after 10 years, we would visit and the box is still not open, you know. Some life members, not all. So yeah, these books are meant to be like in our living room. They're meant to be in a place where we can have darshan every day, and where we can easily take them out and open and read and study them. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the gift to humanity, the best gift that we can make to ourselves, and the best gift that we can give to others as well. Because the Bhagavatam is that most important of literature that introduces us and elaborately explains this whole science of bhakti, and also helps us to balance. Very difficult to balance things in the material world, especially in Kali Yuga. But Bhagavatam actually helps us to balance, because the subject matters are there, helps us to balance between material dharma and spiritual dharma. And all of us need that, because we are dealing with both elements, isn't it? This body is material, but the soul within the body is spiritual, the Atma. So the Bhagavatam is giving us that perfect knowledge and information, and we urge everyone, especially those who have yet to have the entire Srimad Bhagavatam set, to have it in your home, invite devotees who will give classes or lectures from the Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam was Srila Prabhupada's actually most important gift to humanity. It was his, he spent the most amount of time actually giving us the Srimad Bhagavatam. His, was it? Yeah, I mean his most important contribution are all of our Vaishnavacharyas have actually emphasized our whole Krishna consciousness movement. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is especially emphasizes if we have the Bhagavatam, if we properly read, study, discuss, and apply the teachings of the Bhagavatam, here we are discussing about Varnashrama Dharma, then things will take on, a proper direction. We will be able to mitigate the miseries that we all experience in this material world, because the material world is a place of miseries, but we can learn to to transcend. These are nicely explained in the Bhagavatam actually, how there are two important things that happen when we take up the process of bhakti. One can actually transcend the three modes of material nature, which is otherwise not possible. And until and unless we transcend these modes of material nature, we are forced by the laws of nature to again come back in the material world. And secondly, we can, by the process of bhakti, transcend the threefold miseries of life. Isn't it? Adi bhautik, adi adnik, adi daivik, klesh. We're constantly harassed in so many ways by the miseries of the material world, but the process of bhakti can actually help us to rise above and be less and less affected. The misery of the material world will not disappear simply by chanting Hare Krishna, but actually our ability to cope and to transcend those difficulties, miseries and sufferings that are there in the material world will be enhanced. Our ability will be more and more enhanced. Yeah. So as we normally do, well, today actually being our last day I want to thank the devotees who have been coming regularly, especially. He's one of them here, from Sri Prabhu and others. And we want to encourage devotees to continue reading or hearing from the Bhagavatam. We have devotees from so many different centers around the world who are daily giving Bhagavatam classes. I mean, there's no, even if you're driving, you can hear the Bhagavatam class from some source or other. And by hearing the Bhagavatam, the essence of the Bhagavatam, of course, is also to take up the chanting of the holy name. So in this way, we can help to reverse the ongoing ill effects that are there due to all kinds of adharmas that are being promoted all over the world. So thank you all very much for attending. If there's any question or comment on our class today, we can take a few minutes. Everything was clear. So maybe I can ask a question. Why is it that so many people, including devotees, are reluctant to take up Varnashrama Dharma? Yes.
From my own experience, I'm attached to the luxury or the material sense gratification available in the current situation.
I think it's worth holding the microphone. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Yeah.
thank you for today's session. From my perspective, it is that because I'm used to the luxury or the material sense gratification available in the current situation, with technology, with everything available at the click of a button, we can get anything accessed very easily.
Yes.
So in this situation, to even imagine of a simpler life seems like a great austerity. So it's seemingly very difficult to give up this material attachments to easy life.
Being very honest, which is, of course, I'll take. Maybe next time we have class, we need to have two microphones. Whoops, Hare Krishna. I think he's speaking on behalf of, I think, many. We are definitely conditioned in so many ways, and the general direction in society and by leaders as well is, increased material, so-called development and facilities, etc. But when we know a little bit about Vedic knowledge, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, we know that the more we allow ourselves to actually become conditioned in this way, it becomes more and more difficult to actually remember Krishna or take up Varnashrama Dharma. Yeah. Yes?
Maharaj, can I add to that?
Okay, 1 second. Since the mic can reach there.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah.
I personally feel, Maharaj, primarily the pre-preparation to Varnashrama Dharma by staying into the city lives and material world, we are not getting prepared.
The pre-preparation.
Pre-preparation.
Okay, what are those pre-preparations?
Like bending back, getting adjusted to the regular ways of living, including household works and cleaning sevas, because we go to the temple and do the seva once in a week. And most of the times in Bhakta community we say, come regularly to the temple and do seva. But we are attached to the material world and lifestyles, and we don't want to do any kind of support activities at every stage. So unless we prepare ourselves to the nature and associated with the nature, suddenly coming at an age of 40 or 50, nature does receive us, but we don't get adjusted to the nature. So that's what I feel are the typical preoccupational challenges that we have, which we need to be trained in a stage by stage manner so that those habits are inculcated.
So once a week is not sufficient.
Yes, bro.
Need a heavier dose.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes. I don't know if will that reach there? Yeah, yes. Good to use the mic. I mean, okay, good.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
I personally feel that this Macaulay's educational system, the Macaulian educational system has made our life, because we don't believe in God from the beginning, we don't believe in the Vedic system from the childhood. So we are conditioned from childhood itself. So the root cause for all this is our educational system. Unless until we tap at that point, we will not be able to come out. Hare Krishna.
Okay, good point. Yeah. But then most parents continue to utilize that. Yeah.
There is one concept also said, na Maharaj, saying female are more, they come in big numbers than male. Because male have that typical standard ego, saying that I am being a male, I typically am, actually it is said that male should be a servant in the family.
Male person being the head of the family, but he should be the servant of every member in a family. But typically that need to be trained more and more is what I personally feel, so that we can get adjusted to, because most of the times we see the male ego is of course every ego is a challenge, but
Is it that only males have ego?
everybody has ego, but typically
Because you're a male, you're talking about male ego, of course. Yeah. Yeah, the root problem is definitely connected with education, because ego, false ego, which is one of the preliminary teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, is when we are on the ahankara level, and as long as we are connected and more so influenced by the modes of material nature, the more we are under their influence, then the bigger is the ego. And the bigger the ego is, the more difficult it is to actually put into practice these teachings, or even it's not possible to easily even understand them, what to speak of putting into practice. Yes, these are challenges that we have, and I would say that, of course, yeah, very difficult for most people to go every day to a temple, but it is possible for all of us to make our home as like a temple, and we can be actually not only going to a temple, but we can be living in a temple. When we make our home, when we have deities at home, when we have a program, it's not just sufficient to have deities at home, we need to have a program where we spend some quality time. As together, as family members, we spend some quality time to hear. Hearing is the most important. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. The most important activity in Krishna consciousness actually is hearing. Hearing on a daily basis, regular basis. And then for a family to actually nicely evolve, then the members of that family, I mean, there's so many challenges, of course, are there, but still, we should strive and endeavor for that, to reach that point of hearing on a regular basis. Then that will help us, and of course, associating whenever possible with devotees. Yeah. But we should know that it is, somebody just sent me a report from the, I think, United Nations always come out with different reports, and so many reports, it's like difficult to follow. But I think one of the more recent reports is mentioning how our planet Earth is on the brinks of actually collapse. You know, so this is, I mean, the signs have been there for many years, many decades, and we as devotees have a special duty and responsibility to act. This planet is Krishna's planet. This material nature is Krishna's nature. So whatever is Krishna's energy, whatever belongs to Krishna, we should be caring about as well, isn't it? So devotees have a special duty and responsibility to discuss these matters and to see how, in a practical, tangible way, we can, in our respective small ways, address the problems that are facing, actually, in a very critical way, the whole of mankind. And of course, the solution is knowing about more deeply knowing, more deeply understanding, and more definitely also deeply applying these notions, these principles of dharma. And that we can find out more easily by reading on a regular basis and discussing as well the various instructions from the Bhagavatam. So again, I request devotees to, those who have the Bhagavatam, to make proper use. That means to read on a regular basis. Those who don't have the Bhagavatam, to kindly get a set of the Bhagavatam, and this is most important. Any other quick comment, question? Yes, Mike is coming. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, stand up pranam. So my question is on regarding Subhadra Devi's birth, because I'm confused. Who's her real mother, Devaki or Rohini Mata or
Whose birth? Whose birth?
Subhadra Devi.
Oh.
Yeah. So she escaped from Kamsa's hands, and after her birth, there is no detailed version of explanation on her. And when she grown up, then we heard about Jagannath Leelas and Subhadra Devi is there. So where she grown up and all things, I just wanted to know. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Some things are mysterious and remain mysterious. I don't have that much of information regarding Mother Subhadra. Some devotees may have. I've not done any particular research, but there must be some information somewhere. Has anyone read on this? Not, yeah. So maybe there's not very much information if none of the devotees. I've not really read on it, so I can't speculate. We're not supposed to speculate. But yeah, interesting question. There are a number of things like this which sometimes remain concealed or hidden for some time. So I don't have the information that I cannot share with you. Yeah. Any other? So we can close for now. Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Sri Prabhupada ki Jai, Gaur Pimanandi. So we have 4 garlands here for anyone who has a recent birthday, especially today or tomorrow or the next day.
Today is my mother's birthday.
Your mother's birthday today. Your mother's here? So I can give to you. You're going to see your mother today? Yes. On her birthday? I think so. Okay, so I'll give you a garland. You can wear it, and you can give it to your mother. Anyone?
26th.
Huh?
26th, please.
26.